another episode of Fringe
Beyond Limits.
That was really bad.
It happens to the best of us. Or the worst of us.
We started the episode and was about 15 minutes in. And it was a great conversation.
Agreed. It was.
And I never fucking hit record.
It wasn't meant to be. It happens. Maybe you have a little house elf in here.
I am so fucking upset with myself.
At least we figured it out now rather than going through the whole entire episode not realizing it.
Yeah, I know. But it started all anyway. So, how was everyone's week? Let's
start over.
Let's hit reset, huh? How was everyone's week? Bree, how was yours?
Fine and dandy.
Yeah.
Mine was okay.
Yeah, mine. I'm just all
Confuddled, bottled.
I'm
baffled.
You know, like we said before, that nobody heard. We have to sound like we have like miserable lives outside the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's not true.
I mean, it's not.
It's
no.
just the work part, and then little things like this.
Yeah,
And
right.
it's one of those things too. It's like something good happens next day.
Mm-hmm.
It's just back to your normal life, and you're like, forget about it. So when people ask you, "How was your week?" You're like, "Eh."
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing notable.
It just, yeah. That just sucks. So, but we did have some clarification.
Yes, I did get a text from my friend Emily. So in our previous episode with Robert the Doll, we talked about things that keep us up at night, and I asked about Yankee Doodle and about what he called macaroni. And this is what she messaged me.
The horse.
Macaroni means fashionable. Yankee Doodle is calling his hat in fashion because he put a feather in it. And then she also had to mention, too, that the song is a diss track against Yankees. And she goes, LOL. Yeah.
Do you think that when someone puts LOL afterwards, they really are laughing out loud?
I don't.
I never type LOL. I type haha.
You do type ha.
Do you actually?
I do. I usually chuckle inside my head, or I'll type hee hee if it's a little laugh, or haha if it's a big laugh.
Can you imagine that every time we typed LOL, if we were really laughing out loud, how insane the entire world would fucking be?
Or you're walking across the office floor and you just hear ha ha ha.
Yeah, right.
You're like, get to work, you asshole.
Right. Like, can you imagine what society would be like if like, all you hear like
It'd be so distracting.
Yeah, every time you send a text, ha 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 ha, Oh man,
it's just one of those things that gets overused.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
like the word awesome. Like the actual definition of the word awesome is something that's awe-inspiring, takes your breath away, rare, but we use awesome for like, awesome, I got an extra couple French fries in my bag of food.
Another one is genius. It's like to be genius, you'd have to like invent a new number, or make up a word that fits. And now it's like, hey man, I just brought this cup in case we need to. Oh, dude, that's genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean like we live in the world of hyperbole.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. And I am 100% guilty of number one, 100%. Number two, the word awesome.
I do awesome all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because like there's no other word that kind of like fits what I'm feeling in the moment when I do use it, so it just becomes so second nature to me. Because I mean, I really do truly mean like that's fucking awesome. When I say it, I just feel that way all the time. Kind of like laughing out loud. Like I'm always laughing out loud like a fucking hyena.
No, you're
No?
You do at your own jokes.
Oh, yeah, because they're funny.
But when someone else says something to you, you just go,
you stone face.
Yeah.
Because you're not funny.
You're resting bitch face.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Snap me out of it. Say something funny. You guys don't say anything funny.
You're funny.
No.
We's funny.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You are definitely not awesome. I am.
No.
100%. All right. So,
jeez.
I know. I wish
You're
we
such a genius.
These are the things I know.
But you're not a macaroni.
You're not a macaroni.
I'm very fashionable.
No, you're not.
Me and my tuxedo shirt.
Yeah.
And my I'm going to replay the whole thing as much. I'm going to piece together the 20 minutes we lost. Yeah, I'm going to piece it all together and just put it in my gala with a pony. No one else knows what the fuck we're talking about right now.
Your Daisy Dukes pinstripes with your knee-high socks with the
Crocs.
And the Crocs. Don't forget the sock suspenders.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sock suspenders.
But if you have knee-high socks, would your sock suspenders be?
They'd be at the thigh
garters.
They would be. You know what? I will wear garters if you guys promise to take them off with your teeth.
Sick.
No.
Hairy legs and garters aren't my thing.
I'll show you.
Images in my head that I cannot get out of now.
You guys, next week when you show up, I'm going to be wearing literally just like Speedos.
Sick.
Garter with knee-high socks, and I'll put my legs up on the table and be like, you guys have to take it off.
That's so gross.
Yeah. Just listen, when you use your teeth, just try not to pull out any leg hair.
Ew.
That hurts.
Only. I have a friend.
No. Get out.
A friend.
You have a friend?
Friend.
Like outside of us?
Yeah.
Oh.
I have lots of friends outside of you.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you?
Well, when she was dating.
Are you sure about that?
Her and her then boyfriend, they're married now, at the time, used to play this little game where like she would grab his leg hairs and she'd pull and then she'd say, how many? And he would guess like how many hairs she had in her hand.
Are they listeners of the podcast?
Maybe. I'm not naming names, but they know who they are.
Right. I'm just curious. Do they listen to the podcast?
They have. I don't know if they continue. I think you scared them away.
Good. Because I don't want those kind of people listening to the podcast.
That's a lie.
I know. I do. I want them to be on the podcast.
No, yeah. But I swear to God, if you are in Speedos next week, I am turning right back out the door.
Same.
Oh.
He's like, challenge accepted. I could see it in your face.
Oh, God.
We'll start doing the podcast virtually instead.
Yeah.
For chili?
For chili.
Virtually.
One more time?
Virtually.
Is she saying virtually or for chili?
She's saying virtually, not virtually. I can't even say it right now anymore because I heard it so many times. I heard it.
Virtual.
It wasn't for chili, though.
Why am I saying it wrong?
Virtually.
She was saying for chili.
No, I was not.
You were saying, I can't wait to compound the entire dictionary of Brianna and play it. I've already gone back and started listening, and I have stamped 2 episodes so far.
You have a breachinary?
Mm-hmm.
Breachinary.
That's a hard one to word math.
It is.
No, it's not. Breachinary.
Sounds weird.
Yeah, because everything you fucking say is weird.
Touche.
Yeah. All right. So everyone's week was
It got a little better because I took an approach of stopping caring.
No.
Yeah.
You should have done that a long time ago.
Yeah. I'm just like, So that helped a little bit.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you seem more chipper today.
I think it's the champagne.
It's 10 a.m.
That's all right.
Okay.
It's a round-the-clock kind of beverage.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not there.
Doesn't matter.
It does.
Nope.
Yes.
Nope.
And it helps that I'm a champagne purist.
Are you?
Yeah. Or a mimosa purist, I should say.
You're a mimosa purist.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I like my mimosa without OJ. Hold the OJ.
Hold the OJ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 80-60 OJ on the mimosa.
80-60 OJ. Yep. Not the Simpson, but the beverage.
The Simpsons.
O.J. Simpson.
Oh. Well, he's dead. So he's... Where do you think he is right now?
Middle Earth.
Middle Earth?
I don't know. That's the first thing that popped in my head.
You're so stupid.
Nice.
No. All right, so he's in Middle Earth. Where do you think he is?
Anywhere where you can find a Ford Bronco.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You?
He's probably, if I believed in only heaven and hell, he would be in hell. Since I don't, I think he's somewhere in the afterworld being lectured as to how he could have been a better human being.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's referred to as a place of darkness.
Place of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We can maybe talk about it in another episode.
That would be great. I would.
I'm putting together notes on that
Are you?
topic as you prattle on.
Mm. Prattle. Prattle?
Not prattle.
No, prattle?
Prattle.
Okay.
Prattle.
Fortunately.
Virtually.
You're not saying it right.
That's okay. Well, that's going to probably keep me up at night. And I'm curious what keeps you up at night.
Yeah, you both do. Both of you.
You're going to say that like every week.
I am. I'm going to quit the podcast and then this life because of you guys living in this world.
You would miss us too much.
I would not. I would be non-existent.
Well, fine. Then Bree and I would do a seance and bring your happy little ass back.
Oh, please do.
So we can like murder him and tell him to go
like
bye-bye.
repeat over and over.
Please do.
I like that. Let's keep doing that.
Because that would give me the chance to possess one of you. Probably the only way I'd ever get inside of you.
Sick. Oh, Jesus.
You guys set me up for that one. That was great.
I didn't even come close to that.
Yeah, you might come close. So
no one's close to coming.
Wouldn't it be great if like we were always on the verge of coming? Like you're just
no, you would never get anything done.
This is true, but like you would always have that the pre-O face.
You wouldn't be able to drive because your eyeballs would be in the back of your head, kind of thing.
Mine go off to the side like a walleye. So I'm always checking my blind spot when I'm driving.
I'm just Rodney Dangerfield over here.
Yeah, I'll keep riffing. We can keep going. I don't mind this. This is all off the top of my head. All right, so things that keep you up at night. New segment on this award-winning podcast. You guys got something for today?
Yes, sirree, bub.
All right. I'm assuming you want to go first again?
Yes, sirree, bub.
Again, not Bob. She's saying Bub that time,
She
right?
said bub.
Okay, good.
Bub.
Good.
That one's on purpose. Bub.
I doubt that, but go ahead.
Stretch it out.
Yeah. Yeah, keep going.
If there's an exception to every rule, doesn't the exception to that rule mean there are no exceptions?
Say that again.
If there's an exception to every rule, does the exception to that rule mean there are no rules or exceptions? I read that wrong.
Yes, you did. All right. So if there's an exception to every rule, then the exception to that rule would mean that there are no exceptions.
It could be.
Is that what you said?
Is as a question. Yeah.
So I would say yes.
Agreed.
It's still confusing.
It is, but that's the whole point behind it.
There's an exception to every. Yeah. My brain's overworking.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
No.
Stop being so rude.
I'm not. I'm just being honest that your brain is not overworked at all.
It's overworking right now. So can't you see the steam coming out?
Yeah.
No. I can't because it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, but it's one of those questions that turns your brain inside and out like a scrunchie.
Yeah. That's like saying if there is a God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he is all powerful and all knowing,
mm-hmm.
could he create a rock that is too heavy for him to lift?
I don't know.
What if he's not a he?
It could be a
Oh,
she.
dang, she got you there.
No, she didn't.
What's an it?
It could be an it. And I'm okay with all of this. It could be a she. It could be a she it. It could be a them they. It doesn't matter to me.
A she it is a shit.
I know. Those are my pronouns.
Shit.
A she it.
I identify as the, she, and it. Makes me the shit.
You embody that too.
I know. And expel it.
That's what I really meant to say.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's okay. I'm happy that you guys are on the other side. I don't get like contaminated by the stupidity that is you two.
You're an asshole.
Yeah.
Just for the record.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So did we answer her question?
Sure.
Yeah. It's yes, but it still makes your head hurt.
It does make head hurt.
It does.
My brain hurting.
Yeah. Doesn't take much, right?
It takes a lot.
Okay. So I guess I'll go next. So for my things that keep you up at night.
That keeps us up at night?
Well,
your things that keep us up?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think I keep you guys up at night. I mean, you guys dread coming here, right? At least most part. Yeah.
I plead the fifth.
Okay. So I found quotes that keep me up at night. So the first one is how strange that I can have all this inside me, but to you, it's just words.
Huh?
How strange that I can have all this inside of me, but to you, it's just words.
I don't get it.
I was just going to say, that's deep.
Thank you.
Shut up.
Do you want to explain that to her?
Sure.
Thanks.
Well, no, it reminded me. So when we drove up to Pararock last week and we were kind of talking about a similar concept of this, is that you can have all this emotion and feeling inside of you and you try to communicate that to someone else to convey all that you're feeling, but that other person only hears the words. They don't actually feel what you feel. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what we were talking about on the drive, is like, man, wouldn't this world be a way different place if I could feel your joy or your sorrow or your anger or whatever? Mm-hmm. If we could all truly feel more than just empathy, like tap in. But
yeah, and also it's just a way of connecting. Like you could feel as though like you really connect with someone, and to that point, if I just express what I'm feeling, they'll be able to feel it as well. And maybe they don't, and to them it's just words that are coming out of your mouth.
No, because they're feeling their own feels.
Right.
They're not feeling your feels.
Right. But right. But I do feel that there are people in the world that you do connect with to where you can express those feelings, and on some sort of level they get it. Not 100%, of course, but yeah. So yeah, that just kind of keeps me up. I just wonder, the people that I hold near and dear, do they really feel what's inside of me, or are they just words to them? And how sad is it when it is just words to that person? You know, it's not always reciprocated.
Right.
So yeah, so that's one of them. Another one is, you never know how damaged a person is until you try to love them.
Oh, true that.
So we all know how damaged I am, and I just feel sorry for all you people that try to love me. I judge you harshly, because you shouldn't. But also, when, I've tried to care and love damaged people, you just kind of like unravel like an onion, one layer after another, finding just trauma that you never knew existed.
Yeah.
So.
Some heavy shit.
Yeah, well, I'm full of it.
In your porcelain toilet.
And I'm fat, so yeah, heavy shit. I mean, it makes sense.
Heavy the shit.
The shit. So yeah, so those are the two things that I kind of wanted to throw out at you guys. Things that keep me up at night. So like the things that keep me up at night, there's so many, but they don't happen all at once.
Yeah.
My brain just works in mysterious ways. So that's me, Lynette.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you got this week?
Lately this week, I've been thinking about this movie called Leave the World Behind. Have you guys seen it?
Nope.
All right. So
I'm shocked.
Yeah, you did a movie.
I did a movie.
Like another one.
Yeah.
Like, is this a recent movie you did?
Maybe 5 months ago. Yeah. So recent.
So it is recent for you.
Yeah.
When you do a movie, do you do a weed?
No.
No. Do you do an alcohol?
Once in a while.
Do you do a cinema?
No.
Do you do a podcast?
Occasionally.
Okay, good. So I think that's a fun way to talk from now on. We all just talk like that. So, all right. So you did a movie.
Yeah.
And what was it called?
Leave the World Behind.
Okay. I know. I did not do that movie yet.
So it's well, it's a movie about kind of an apocalyptic event, but a modern apocalyptic event. It was produced by like the Obamas and Julia Roberts and stuff like that.
Mm.
Have you heard of it at least?
Nope. I've heard of it. I've heard of it, but I didn't know that the Obamas produced. That's kind of weird.
That's what like kind of sparks this whole why? Like, why would they be involved in a movie like this? And so I watched the movie the first time, and the whole time I just had this weird EBGB feeling, like just the whole vibe of the movie, the whole soundtrack, the whole, like the words that they chose in certain scenes were just odd. So I went back and I like to take notes and I like to make spreadsheets. So I started
really,
in case you didn't know. So I started taking notes on this film, and I only got about 30 minutes into the second watching of this film, and I'm already like 5-6 full-length notebook back, front, and page of my little notepads, jibbling down notes and like the research that I was doing on it. It's weird. And so maybe we do an episode on it, because I really want to like talk through this, because it's wild. Don't give me that fucking look.
I just love the look he's giving you right now is like complete like blank. It's just,
that's okay.
I'm listening.
It's okay.
Yeah.
The reason, at least this week, that I was kind of thinking on is, so the movie, and I'm not going to give anything away really. So in the opening scene of the movie, during the opening credits, there is a solar eclipse. Okay. No big deal. You watch the rest of the movie, it has nothing to do with the rest of the movie from anything that's mentioned anytime on there.
Okay.
Within the first 10 minutes, this family's vacationing on Long Island in New York, and they see a steamship or a barge or whatever you want to call it off the coast. And this ship eventually like crashes into the shore. So I was thinking, I was like, okay, well, we had a solar eclipse. We also had barges crashing into bridges because they lost control of their steering. And that's just kind of like that spiral that I went down of, is this movie trying to tell us something?
Is it?
Well, I don't want to give away the rest of the movie, but the fact that the Obamas are involved in it, and they're also building a bunker out in Hawaii, makes me wonder. What do they know that we don't know?
Interesting.
Okay. I am at a loss.
Yeah.
You lost me at, you have 6 pages of notes.
I thought you were going to say you lost me that I did a movie.
Well,
that too.
That shocked me. But the whole losing part was the amount of copious notes you've taken 30 minutes in.
Yeah, there are symbols right, left, and sideways all throughout that movie. And I've never seen a movie like that before.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I have a great idea for a movie. Actually, it's a great idea for a series, like a limited series run, which I am not going to give out because it is that good. But if we have any people that make movies or series, you guys can reach out to me. We can, talk about this. I have a pretty good imagination.
Okay.
Sure.
That's all I have to say about that. So, yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, that was interesting. You're going to make me want to go watch that movie now. So I'm going to have to do a movie. Maybe tonight.
I want to see your notes.
Oh, no.
When you're done.
He's going to have Missy next to him taking notes for him.
No, I don't do notes. I don't do, I went to school. I don't take notes. I don't. Yeah, I just copy and paste.
Clearly.
All right. So last week we had a fun interview with Sylvia Schultz.
Yeah.
And also last weekend we went to the inaugural, I can't say that word. Inaugural. I can't. That's one of the words I just can't say.
You're missing your opportunity to pick on him.
Yeah, but I know I can't say it before I'm going to say it.
I'm trying to figure out if I can say it, because if I can't, it's kind of pointless for me to say.
Yeah, well,
inaugural.
I can't say it. She's saying virtually and is saying for chili.
That's right.
No, it's virtually.
Anyway.
Virtually.
There's no F there.
Virtually. I'm not saying an F.
You were.
Virtually.
Oh, I can't wait to go to the tape. So we went to the Para Rock up in Madison, Wisconsin, which was fun. And we got to meet Dave and Karen, who are our very first guests.
Yeah.
And we got to listen to Bellhead.
Yeah.
Yep. We
got to meet some other folks. I don't remember. I'm so bad with names. You guys are better at names than me. Who did we meet?
Richard.
Richard. What was his last name?
Richard. I don't. It's the name that I wouldn't be able to pronounce, but his name's Richard.
Okay. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Richard.
Who else did we meet? We're so bad. Oh, we got to meet Jesse.
Yeah. We're going to have her on a future episode.
Yeah.
Yep. We got to meet Aaron.
Oh, yeah. Your boy Aaron.
From 28 Days In. Or 28 Days. Totally screw that one up.
He's been in for 28 days. I don't feel
wrong
thing.
show. 28 Days
I would like
Haunted.
to know what show 28 Days In is. Because then...
I was getting like billion different ones mixed up in my head.
Okay.
28 Days Haunted.
Haunted, yeah. That was cool. We got to do a little cemetery and get eaten by bugs.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
That was horrible.
Bugs were brutal.
So, yeah, so that was a fun time. And then we drank some alcohols.
Spotted cow, baby.
Yeah, we did. We did alcohols, and then we did a taco truck.
Oh, yeah, that taco truck was good.
Yeah.
That El Pastor taco,
It was probably one of the best El Pastors I had.
It rushes blood to my testicles.
Lovely.
It was so good.
I wish I remember the name of the taco truck so I can be like, hey, I want to go there.
I know, me too.
Really
we should have gotten the name of it.
We also came to the conclusion too that taco truck is like the adult version of a kid in a van.
Free candy van, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey kids, free candy, or hey adults, taco truck.
Yeah, you could totally.
You just drop everything. Taco truck, go.
You could totally kidnap me with a taco truck.
Yeah.
I would be that fat kid in the back just eating. Can I have another taco, please? 100%. So, but yeah, so that was fun. I just wanted to give a little shout out to Allie K Promotions and Allie. It was nice meeting her.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but then also our episode last week was with Sylvia Schultz, our interview about all her books that she's written and Peoria State Hospital and everything else. That was a great interview. I just want to thank Sylvia again for being on our silly little podcast. And, you know, I think all of our tens of listeners.
Oh, we've moved up.
We went from 1 to 4 to 10.
Yes. Oh, and then also, I'm not sure if you guys have paid attention to the downloads, but we have had a consistent download from Germany. And I think it's just one person, which is fine, but it's just kind of awesome that one person in Germany is listening to us. If you are that person, if you can please email. I would
You're the only one. Tell your friends.
You're the only one. Tell your friends. And I would just love to know who you are. You know, maybe
give you a good shout out.
Yeah. And then also the past couple weeks, we've had one from Russia as well. And would love to know who that person is. So again, email frank@fringebeyondlimits.com. Send me an email. I would love to know who you are, correspond with you, you know, because that's exciting for us.
That's great.
You know, that I get excited when there's a new state that pops up. I mean, and you know, we have 2 countries. That's just wild. So, yeah. So thanks for listening. We do appreciate you listening, and tell your friends, you know, you can't be the only weird one out there, right? There's going to be more.
There's more of us out there.
So anyway, now that we're totally off the rails. Yeah. So we're going to follow up that interview with talking about Peoria and just haunted Peoria.
Yeah. And some personal history accounts that we kind of touched on last episode and add a little more color to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is a region that's rich in history and scarred with strife. So I think that's what we found, right? There's a bunch of hot spots of supernatural activity.
And for those of you who don't know, Peoria's in like central Illinois-ish, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say central-ish Illinois.
Central, south, central, like
farming country.
No, south, no. Rockford, not Rockford, but Springfield, I would say south central.
Yeah, it's north of Bloomington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say
north of Springfield.
Yeah. So I guess we'll start with probably the most well-known place, the Peoria State Hospital. It's arguably the most well-known location there. So the Peoria State Hospital is situated in Bartonville, Illinois, originally known as the Illinois Asylum for the Incurable Insane, which I think I've spent some time at.
Makes sense.
Personally, right? But it wasn't just for the insane. It housed people with disabilities and handicaps, too. Again, I fit that bill rather nicely.
Yeah.
The main building of the asylum, called the Bowen Building, was completed in 1902 and opened its doors the same year. This facility continued operation for a little over 7 decades until it finally shuttered its doors in 1973. I'm pretty sure that meant to be, is shuttered the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
I wrote it.
Did you?
So it's the right word.
Oh,
Don't argue with her. Yeah.
They closed their doors.
I'm leaving.
They shuttered its doors.
I'm leaving the podcast. The first superintendent, Dr. George A. Zeller, went before the state legislature to demand a name change. He felt strongly that no patient was incurable. In 1907, the name was changed from Illinois Asylum for the Incurable Insane to Peoria State Hospital, as Peoria was the closest large town. Prior to this time, mental health care barely existed. In those days, anyone suffering from mental disorder was simply locked away from society in an asylum. Many of these hospitals were filthy places of confinement where patients were often left in straitjackets, locked in restraint chairs, or even placed in crates or cages known as Utica cribs, if they were especially disturbed. Many of them spent every day in shackles and chains, and even the so-called treatments were barbaric. Most mental patients spent their entire lives locked up inside of an asylum. Soon, though, men like Dr. Zeller began promoting the fact that the mentally ill could be helped, not just locked away and forgotten. I can't even imagine experiencing life, even if it's for a brief moment like that. But in these cases, their whole lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's insane.
I mean,
they should have been the ones locked up in there. Like it's
right.
It's wild to think that there was such a dismissive attitude towards, especially nowadays, like mental health is on the news. It's in your face. It's everywhere. But back then it was, you don't talk about it and you just lock it away and it's subhuman. And
yeah, we were like so closed off back then that anything different from the norm, we just ignored and we didn't want to believe that it was true. So we just say those people are crazy. Where now people are more open to different.
And that's only a recent development. I mean, this place closed in the 70s, but still mental health is a hush-hush thing. It's still coming to light. But
Yeah, I, which you guys know, always talk about my mental health because I want to take that stigma away from it, that it's more normal and more people suffer from it and sometimes don't even know that they do. And what confuses me the most is that when someone smokes and they get lung cancer, everyone's like, oh, poor guy. Well, yeah, I agree. Poor guy. But I mean, he kind of did to himself, right? Mm-hmm. Usually mental health is either done to you for it to happen or it's genetic or, what have you. And the one part of your body that, as science goes, we know the least about, that controls everything. If that goes a little haywire, it's your fault as the person, as the individual. They say, well, just feel better, just cheer up. Like, people who have never experienced what it's like to have a depression and anxiety, there's many, 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 many different, will blame the person. And then on top of it, nowadays, when people are trying to express who they really feel they are, with the, what am I trying to say? People who are transgender and things, then that's when they also like, well, that's just mental health. It's not. I mean, if you look up the definition, gender is a psychological term and sex is a biological term, and gender is always changing and fluid, or it can be. Mm-hmm. So it's not a mental health. It's just whoever, and who cares at the same time. So
it's just going to take time. Not that long ago, homosexuality was a mental health situation, or thought of as that way.
Right. Which is even more baffling because there's scientific proof that across every single mammalian species, homosexuality exists.
Yep. 10 to 15%.
Right. So, I mean, it's same as in humans. I think it's the same percentage. So, like, why would we be any different?
Right.
So, anyway, off that soapbox. But yeah, so the Bowen building was used mainly as administrative offices for the asylum after the cottage system, where 33 different buildings were used to house patients, was put into place. This was also a dorm for the nursing staff, a store, a powerhouse, and a domestic building with laundry. A bakery and kitchen, totaling 63 buildings in all on the campus at its height. At its peak, this hospital served a total of 2,650 people at one given time, and an estimated total of 13,510 patients had lived under its care and supervision. That's a lot of fucking people.
That's a lot of people.
After the hospital's closure in 1973, many buildings were destroyed or sold at auction. Most of the buildings on the old hospital property have been torn down, but those that remain are rumored to be haunted by spirits of the past. Today, 13 of those 63 buildings are left, including the Bowen and the Pollock Hospital, the tuberculosis ward. There are also 4 cemeteries on these grounds containing the thousands who died while in residence at the asylum. All right, famous residents of the Peoria State Hospital. One of the most notable and documented residents of Peoria State Hospital was that of a small town girl known as Rhoda Derry. The story of Rhoda Derry is one of the greatest tragedies of mental health care in Illinois and one of the great triumphs of the Peoria State Hospital, as stated in the opening lines of Sylvia Schultz's book, 44 Years in Darkness, as we discussed on last week's episode. Rhoda Derry was a patient who suffered greatly due to the primitive treatments of the time. Born in Madison County, Indiana, on October 10, 1834, the youngest of 9 children, and moved to Lima, Illinois, near Quincy in the western part of the state, when Rhoda was just a young child. She was 22 years of age when she was first committed to the Jacksonville Mental Hospital. In 1856, as a result of a marriage that her lover, Charles Phoenix, mother, Nancy Phoenix, refused to give her blessing and the curse she had placed on Rhoda to keep her away from her son. Rhoda fell into a deep depression that caused her to fall into a dark, despairing psychosis, and may have stayed in the 8th ward, which was reserved for severely disturbed patients. The 8th ward was the only ward in which straitjackets were used. It also contained the screen room, a cell-like bedroom that had locked screens over the windows and doors. In accordance to hospital policy, Rhoda was locked in her room every night and every morning. She was found roaming the grounds of the hospital, claiming Nancy Phoenix let her out. Within 2 years, Rhoda was discharged as incurable and sent home, sometime in 1858. 2 years after her release, her mother, Rachel Bright Derry, passed away in the harvesting months of 1860. With her primary caregiver now deceased and Rhoda becoming an ever-increasing burden on the family, they decided to have her recommitted a few months later on the 3rd of September 1860 to a different facility. Rhoda, now 25 years old, had been committed for a second time, and the Adams County Almshouse would become Rhoda's home for the next 42 years. This story sucks already.
It only gets worse before it gets better.
Well,
okay.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that's not that much of a spoiler, but no, it's just crazy because during that time you could be committed for anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
A man could commit his wife to mental facility at any time without jury, and the law was written that way because they didn't want to cause a problem with the children. Like they didn't want to suffer any wrath of the children, so that a husband could quietly remove their caregiver.
Yeah.
You
know, in theory, that sounds phenomenal.
Of course you would think that.
But in practice,
misogyny at its best.
Right. But in practice, I can see how it would be horrible.
Yeah.
No, that's like one of my greatest fears. It's like one of my irrational greatest fears. I don't know if it's irrational or not, but to be locked up in a mental facility.
Knowing that you're sane?
Yeah.
But what if you're not? What if you thinking you're sane is actually what is making you insane?
That question is going to make me insane.
It's going to be something that keeps her up at night.
So one of my irrational fears, and this is true, is that I am actually a special needs person and I don't know that I'm special needs, and that's why everyone's nice to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, it goes along those same lines. Yeah, that's why.
It's not irrational. You're right.
Yeah, I mean,
you're special.
I am special needs. Oh,
we got that problem solved.
All right. Well, I don't know where to go from here, but I'll just continue with the story now. Over the years, Rhoda's mental health continued to decline at Adams County Almshouse as they were not equipped to care for the mentally ill. Reports of poor conditions surfaced in the newspaper from time to time. Rhoda was also known to eat anything she could get her hands on, including buttons and sharp objects she would find. In 1845, France, a new treatment for the insane was gaining popularity. Thought of as more compassionate alternative, the Utica crib was first introduced at the lunatic asylum in Utica, New York, around 1846. These cribs were used to restrain adult patients. These Utica cribs were long, narrow, and from 15 to 30 inches high, with slats for the sides, the top, and sometimes the bottom. The person restrained could neither sit up nor get out. Basically, a baby crib-like bed with a lid and a lock on top. When the mattress is placed on the bottom of the lid, and the lid was closed, the patient would not even have enough space to turn on their side. That would drive me fucking crazy in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I shared this story, but when I was in undergrad, we went to the Elgin Mental Hospital and we visited their museum, and they had this Utica crib there. It was disturbing to see in person, and they let you touch it. So I did, and I got just the most uncomfortable feeling of anxiety and stress and panic, and you can see on these wood, like on the inside and around these slats, there's scratch marks. There's worn out wood from where they would kick, or they would rub their head against the top of it if you were a tall individual, because it was a standard size, whether no matter your height, weight, that shoulder width, maybe a smaller person could roll over in there, but someone with a thick mattress and broad shoulders, you're just stuck on your back. And sometimes they were even strapped down while they were in there on top of it. It's really bizarre. But this was the more compassionate alternative to a straitjacket or some of those leather cuff things and stuff. Yeah. So sad.
So the pole vaulter from France.
Okay.
That lost the gold because of his dong. Do you think
that was quite the curveball? But I see your connection there.
Do you think he would be able to have an erection laying in that?
Probably, well, it's a slatted. He would just have to
maneuver
his hips,
poke through the hole, through the slat, through the opening.
Yeah.
Can I use any other euphemisms here?
Him and the springboard diver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one I don't know.
Yeah.
But
there was nothing left to the imagination on that one.
Yeah. I mean, God bless them all.
Vive la France. Minus your Utica crib.
Minus your Utica crib. That's awesome. It is worth noting that the Utica crib has been considered the cause of several patients' deaths over its years of use. Deaths reported after being locked in a Utica crib include anxiety or panic attack, or those patients experiencing acute medical conditions such as a heart attack or stroke and faulty diagnosed with mental episode, which resulted in them being locked in a crib without proper medical care.
Can you imagine?
I cannot.
You're having a heart attack and they think you're having a psychotic break and they lock you in a box.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I cannot. One of my greatest fears is having a heart attack, which I'm probably going to have in the next couple of years. So.
Will you stop manifesting bad shit in your life?
Yeah.
No, it's just reality.
So depressing.
It's just reality. So, since Rhoda was clearly becoming a hazard to herself, it was decided to place Rhoda in one of these contraptions. While in this crib, Rhoda would often soil herself, and the doctors and nurses eventually removed her clothes and mattress altogether. So, Jesus, they replaced the mattress with straw for her to lay on, with a pan underneath the bed to collect the waste. Mice and other vermin made their nests at her side. It was under these conditions that her long fingernails grew, and she scratched out her eyes within the first 10 years under the supervision of the Adams County Almshouse. With her fists, she beat her face until she lost all her front teeth and eventually lost her ability to speak. Prior to her rescue by Dr. George Zeller, Rhoda spent decades in the Utica crib. When Dr. Zeller inquired with the attending physician, Jacob B. Wolf, as to how long Rhoda had been in this box, Dr. Wolf admitted he had no idea. Keep in mind that this crib was only intended for overnight use, not weeks or months. Rhoda had evidently been confined to this crib long enough for her hips, knees, and legs to atrophy.
It's terrible.
People,
like, why would you think this is okay?
I am not big on the death penalty, but I do believe that there are people that should not be on this earth. And some of them are these doctors. Like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right. So Dr. Zeller was appalled at this and had Rhoda transferred along with 60 other patients from the Adams County All House to his facility, the Illinois Asylum for the Incurable Insane, eventually renamed the Peoria State Hospital in 1902. But even this transfer was not of traditional manner. Due to the years of abuse, Rhoda had also lost her ability to walk and would instead crawl around on the floor on her gnarled hands and emaciated knees. So after all the other patients had disembarked from the train, a couple of the attendings picked up a wicker laundry basket. Thinking it was filled with patients' linens, they discovered Rhoda has curled up under some sheets at the bottom. That is so sad.
Yeah. They didn't give her a wheelchair or anything.
They just put her in a fucking basket.
Yeah, because that's how. So the Adams County Hospital shipped them off, and the Dr. Zeller's hospital picked them up.
Right.
So also part of what was happening there is most of them were under those leather shackle type of restraints while they were on this train. And part of those attendings collected all of those shackles. So when they arrived, they wouldn't see that they were all
shackled.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So they just shoved her in a basket.
However, Rhoda's arrival, from the moment she landed in Dr. Zeller's care, she was treated with honor and dignity, with clean food, bedding, and clothing. Every time Dr. Zeller came to visit Rhoda, would lighten up. She would turn her head towards his voice and smile. There are only 2 known photographs taken of Rhoda. One as a gorgeous young lady, and one of an emaciated skeletal mummy-like figure with no eyes and teeth sitting childlike on the floor just before her death. Rhoda died at the age of 77, and you can visit her grave in Cemetery 1, site number 217. Not in the pauper field, but rather she was given a proper Christian burial. Many claim her spirit lingered, with reports of seeing her apparition and hearing her cries for help. One can't help but wonder if the deep depression and psychosis was a result of her broken heart, a witch's curse, or due to the inhumane treatment she experienced during the formative years of her young adult life. I'm going to have to say it was the inhumane treatment.
And that's definitely going to put you over the edge.
I mean, I could understand being in throes of depression and that can lead to a slight psychosis from a broken heart. I can definitely see that, but that doesn't last usually long with proper care, which she never got.
Right.
So, don't you wish you could just go back in time and just beat the shit out of people?
Just box people's ears, yeah.
All right, well, another well-known patient after that fucking great story was that
Well, it ended well. She died happy.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, 100%, but
It's just, you keep thinking about the stuff leading up to it.
Oh, yeah, her life was wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows what she could have done?
Right.
You know, who knows, she could have found somebody else and had children who would have done something great. We could have had a cure for cancer.
Right. She could have been the one.
We could have had flying cars by now from her lineage. No one knows.
Yeah.
You know, instead, oh, she's fucking nuts. Let's put her in this crib.
Just a burden and lock her away.
Jesus. Yeah. So, all right. So another well-known patient was that of Manuel A. Bookbinder. Although numerous stories have been told about the hospital and grounds, another well-known patient was a man known as Manuel Bookbinder, or A. Bookbinder. who went by another nickname, Old Book for short. Old Book, while living, was supposedly mute, so no one knew his real name. He worked in a printing house before being brought to the hospital. Old Book was a patient who worked as a gravedigger and assisted in over 1,500 burials at the hospital cemetery. He was appointed to this position by Dr. Zeller, and it documented in hospital records that he performed his job well. He even passionately mourned the passing of each and every person he helped intern in the cemetery. Old Book was among the most popular patients, and the staff loved him. When Old Book died of tuberculosis in 1910, hundreds of people turned out for his funeral on the hospital grounds.
Yeah, I couldn't find more details on his life, but and we'll get to it a little bit later, but the haunt that he seems to do. You do haunting?
Yeah, you do haunting?
You do haunting? Was really quite interesting. I wish there was a little bit more story on how he ended up in the facility, though.
Well, I mean, him being a mute,
I'm sure had its own burden, outcast.
Right,
thing,
exactly.
Yeah.
Was probably it right then and there.
Yeah.
So again, stupid and silly, but it sounded like he enjoyed or had a good time. I mean, lack of a, better term being, as far as being, as the story before that with Rhoda, I mean, so he just sounds, like he made the best of the situation he was in. So, which isn't right, but, we can only learn from the past.
Right.
Yeah.
It's something.
We have a problem of doing that.
We do.
We don't really like to learn from our mistakes.
Yeah.
No. And
we were taught history all this time too, so we learn from those, but yet we have not learned.
And also something that I don't like doing is I don't like looking at the past and judging them by our current standards.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like I don't think it's fair to do that. But in terms of just treating someone like a human, that's where I get upset with Rhoda's story.
Foundational.
Makes sense.
Yeah, right. We can't be like, oh, I don't know, like the plague, right? Like it was, they didn't know it was rats that were doing it, so I get that. But like when it comes to, like you said, something that should be foundational, like treating a human with dignity and respect just because they're another human. Yeah, that's just, we still have issues with that today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So areas with reports of activity. The old main building hauntings. The old main building, a central structure of the hospital, is one of the most reportedly haunted spots. Visitors and ghost hunters have reported hearing disembodied voices, footsteps, and the sounds of doors slamming. Apparitions of former patients and staff members are also said to appear in the hallways and rooms. The graveyard shift ghosts. The cemetery in the hospital grounds, known as the Peoria State Cemetery, is another hotbed of paranormal activity. Many believe that the spirits of former patients roam the area. Ghostly figures, strange lights, and eerie sounds have been reported by visitors and paranormal investigators alike. So, what's an eerie sound?
I didn't know you were going to give an example.
I did not either, Bree.
You're welcome for the win.
I think she farted. I think that's what that eerie sound was.
Your farts sound cute. Thanks.
Yeah, no, they smell.
Sounds like you need some WD-40 on that gate.
Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah, like an eerie sound would be something that's out of place for your location.
So my only issue with that eerie sound in a graveyard is that you're outside and it's an uncontrolled environment, so it could be anything when it comes to sounds.
Right. I get it, but I would just say an eerie sound. You asked what an eerie sound is, not if it's a valid eerie sound.
Okay, so we're all...
So what if you're in a cemetery and you hear a Jack in the Box music? Eerie sound.
I would expect
out of place.
There's some sort of Children of the Corn in the near woods.
I would have ran away.
Quite possibly.
Right.
Shit my pants and gone.
But apparently investigators have not stuck around to figure out the source.
You know what? We need to start doing Brian's shit scale here.
That'd be a shit scale of 3.5.
All right, 3.5 it is. The Bowen Building Specters. The Bowen Building, originally used for administrative purposes, has its share of ghostly tales. People have reported seeing shadow figures, experiencing cold spots, and hearing inexplicable noises. Some visitors claim to have seen the ghostly figure of a nurse who supposedly roams the halls checking on patients. Would you think that's a intelligent haunting or
residual?
She got it. I did it.
I don't think she did.
It wasn't residual.
It wasn't, but it wasn't residual. It was, say it again.
Residual. I can't say. I'm overthinking it.
No.
Residual.
That's pretty good.
It's close enough.
It's close.
It's better. Get rid of
residual.
There you go.
All right.
It still sounds weird in my head.
Maybe just go back to the squeaky fart noise.
Yeah. Wow. You just blew out some people's ears. The haunting of Dr. Zeller's office. Dr. George Zeller, the compassionate superintendent of the hospital, said to still watch over his former workplace. Reports of seeing a ghostly figure matching his description, especially in the areas where his office once stood, have been frequent. People have also claimed to feel a comforting presence when in distress within the building, which they attribute to Dr. Zeller's spirit. Dr. Zeller himself wrote about hauntings around the hospital in his diary, and seems only fitting that both he and the other spirits continued to roam these halls for the decades to follow.
So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I was just about to say that is pretty cool that he actually wrote about hauntings in, I'm assuming, the 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Yeah.
So that is pretty, there's a story. So people think ghost hunting is a new thing. There is a story, and Bree and our significant others went to go see Josh Gates live in Joliet. Was it in October?
Yeah.
So he was talking about ghost hunting, and he was telling about a story back in ancient Rome where someone was writing and they heard a noise and they saw a ghost and got scared. They ended up selling their property, and the person buying it was like a nobleman, and he heard the story and he goes, And he goes, all right, well, let's figure this out. So he came across this apparition, so he heard the noise, followed where the noise was, saw an apparition. And then the apparition kind of beckoned him to follow him. So, yeah. So the guy followed this apparition, and he stopped over this garden area and pointed to the ground. So this nobleman, thinking things through, goes, all right, maybe something's in the ground. So he started digging. And as he dug, he found the skeleton. And they're able to, put two and together that this ghost, that was his body, and they dug up the body and gave it a proper burial for the time, and no one ever experienced any other hauntings after that. So for people, that is a paranormal investigation. So it was kind of neat thinking, wow, 2,000 plus years ago, they did paranormal investigating.
Everyone wants to know where you go when your body stops being animated here.
So that kind of just brought back that memory of that story.
That's a cool one.
So anyway, we'll keep going here. The ghost of Old Book / Bookbinder. When Old Book died and his casket was being lowered into the ground, it was reported by the pallbearers the casket suddenly became lighter. The crowd heard the familiar sound of Old Book weeping against the old elm tree. They turned to find Old Book leaning against the tree, crying. They claimed to have actually seen him as a full-body apparition. He disappeared and his casket was immediately opened. Old Book's body was inside, undisturbed, resting peacefully. Within days of his burial, the old elm tree began to die. Several crews tried to remove the dead tree but couldn't go through with it because of the sound of weeping from it whenever they tried. Eventually, one man took an axe to the tree and was met with an ear-piercing wail, as if he had just struck someone with an axe. Disturbed, the man stopped and left the tree alone. Some years later, lightning struck the old elm tree during a storm, and crews were finally able to remove it. As the crying had ceased, the spirit is reportedly seen in the cemetery, often appearing sad or contemplative, still seemingly mourning the deceased. You can visit bookbinders in the hospital cemetery buried in grave marked 713. The forgotten patients. Many former patients who died in the hospital and were buried in unmarked graves are believed to haunt the area. Visitors have reported seeing apparitions in outdated hospital attire, hearing whispers, and feeling a strong sense of sadness and unrest, likely reflecting the spirits of those who passed away without family or proper recognition. Isn't that sad? Just forgotten people.
Yeah.
But we've talked about that. It's one of the things that keep me up at night.
Yeah. So does that mean everybody eventually comes back as a ghost? Because eventually we're all forgotten once enough generations go by?
I mean, maybe.
Possibly.
Well, I guess maybe your homies are all back with you. Hopefully.
Well, what if it's like the movie Beetlejuice? You have to serve this penance. So once everyone dies, you do come back for a haunting.
But
And they have to say your name.
Jinx. That's like the second jinx of the night.
Yay.
I quit.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Who does say your name?
Say my name. Say my name.
3 times.
Say my name. Say my name.
Oh, that was a good one.
Was it a good
yeah,
one?
that was a good one.
Dave Matthews, please reach out. We'll do it. The asylum tunnels. The hospital was known to have a network of tunnels connecting various buildings. These tunnels are often cited in ghost stories, with reports of footsteps echoing through the empty passages, ghostly figures darting around corners, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched or followed. These stories contribute to the chilling reputation of the East Peoria State Hospital as one of the most haunted places in Illinois. Paranormal investigators and curious visitors continue to explore the site, seeking to experience and document the ghostly phenomenon firsthand. So, go ahead.
I was just going to ask. So, knowing that Dr. Zeller was a compassionate individual, like how many people do you think try to do ghost hunts here, not knowing the history and just riling up shit, thinking this was a torture place, essentially?
I think a lot.
Yeah.
I think, I think how do I want to phrase this? I would think the ones that don't do their homework,
which I think are a lot. Yeah.
I don't think it's the majority, but I do think it is a lot, tend to do that. I think the ones that are more professional, for lack of a better term, who maybe, I don't want to say take it serious, because ghost hunting doesn't have to be, because I don't take it serious at times. It doesn't make me any, but we do our homework and our due diligence to when we go to a facility to kind of get an idea on what it's going to be like, so we're as prepared as we can be. But ghost hunting can be fun. There can be laughing and jokes and silliness. Yeah, so yeah, I do wonder that too. I think the majority are more like us, where we kind of go and do our research and learn about it before moving forward. So yeah. All right, the Peoria Public Library.
So another spot.
The Peoria Public Library has multiple branches, but the area of focus here is their main campus. The building was built in 1894, but before this library was built, the land was occupied by a woman named Mary Stevenson Gray, wife of Andrew Gray. The two of them lived in a 2-story home in Peoria around 1830. Some would say a very nice little mansion. Life was seemingly well for this wealthy couple until Mary's brother died, and her nephew came to live with them. Mary became the caretaker of her nephew after the death of her brother. But things began to go south for Mrs. Gray. Her nephew was always getting into trouble with the law, known as a town drunkard and associate with criminals. He spent a good deal of time in jail and accrued a lot of fines and fees for lawyers. Some accounts say that she hired a lawyer, David Davis, to make sure he couldn't get hands on her inheritance. The story that seems most fitting would suggest that she hired this lawyer to help continually bail her nephew out of jail and other gossip-worthy situations that he kept getting himself into. The costly lawyer, he was very good at his job, was financially draining, and he bled Mrs. Gray dry. Eventually, the Grays were unable to pay the debts for their nephew and had used their mortgage as a means to pay their lawyer. This financial hardship ultimately led to a foreclosure. Mary kicks her nephew out, and when his body is found later floating in the Illinois River, she curses the land with thorns and thistles. Ill luck, sickness, and death to every owner and occupant. The land gained a quick reputation of being haunted. Stories began that Mary's nephew could be heard crying and begging at the front door. Caretakers for the property refused to work there because the public opinion was so against David Davis, he never actually lived there and the home abandoned. Depending on the accounts you read, she seems like she could have been just a victim of scoundrels or a pretty nasty woman. Did she have anything to do with the death of her nephew, or was it related to her nephew's questionable behavior?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that she had anything to do with her nephew's death?
I don't know. The timing seems interesting, to say the least.
It does. I mean, I could see it either way, you know. But I mean, that's pretty harsh, you know, for anyone.
But if someone was always getting into trouble, she was wealthy or well connected.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like, I mean, it's a stretch. I don't know the situation, but it doesn't seem like it could be too out of the question to make an accident happen.
Sure. I agree. I just think that all the shit he got himself into, especially back then, I mean, people, I don't think you would think twice to kill someone back then.
I feel like that was a little more
accepted, right?
Accepted.
Yeah. Like, you know what?
Don't fuck up or somebody's going to off you.
Right. Yeah. Right. So the property then becomes the home of Governor Thomas Ford, who was thought to already have been cursed prior to moving in.
Oh man. Okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
Within quick succession, he lost his wife to stomach cancer. Mrs. Ford died of cancer of the stomach October 12th, 1850 at the age of 38. Eek, that's young.
Yeah, very.
Governor Ford already in his late stages of consumption. What is consumption? Does anybody know?
Let's just confirm, because I've heard it.
Like, is it like pneumonia? Was that another word of pneumonia?
Some type of sickness?
Obviously.
Pulmonary tuberculosis.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's all consuming. I remember looking it up a while ago.
All right. So thanks, Bree, for some sort of sickness part. That was obvious, Captain.
I was just thinking as a category, I didn't think it was actually to a specific sickness.
Well, I always thought consumption was alcoholism.
No, I thought it was like pneumonia, but it was tuberculosis. Yeah. All right. So he was in the late stages of consumption, then died a few weeks after, and died on Sunday, November 3rd, 1850. According to Tomes of Terror, a haunted bookstores and libraries by Mark Leslie, the property is then given to an ex-slave, Tom Lindsay. Lindsay had recently been freed by the Emancipation Proclamation, and the son of his ex-master purchased a portion of the property and allowed him to live there. The book makes claims that Tom had a lot of issues living there. He had to rebuild the home and employing superstitious methods to live on the land peacefully. The book also claims that many more property owners and their children died, but without any names. I again couldn't look it up, so I'll just add it here because it makes for a spooky story.
Spooky.
Some believe her curse came true after all the owners of the property. The library was built in 1894, very close to where Mrs. Gray's house stood, and the first 3 library directors died under mysterious circumstances. In 1966, the library was demolished and a new one was built in its place. But many of the ghosts are said to still reside here as a result of Mrs. Gray's curse. Reports say staff members have heard their names being called when they were alone in the stacks or they feel cold draft. Apparitions of former library director have also been in the basement doorway. So I do not want to go because if I walk into a library, I burst into flames.
I thought you were going to say your turn on as a ghostly librarian. That's where I thought you were going to go with this.
Yes.
Didn't you have a nice story about a library?
What?
Like seeing a kid ghost?
No.
You said it was like a library or something. You saw a kid. I swear there's a story of you seeing like a kid or something.
All right. Did you do a weed before you came on the podcast?
I did not do a weed.
Did you do a cocaine?
You know what story I'm talking about?
Did you do a mushroom?
Because you said that you looked and then like it turned away and it like disappeared or something.
Nope, that never happened.
So he was lying to you when he told you this.
Yes.
I was just trying to get in your pants.
No,
I was actually trying to get out of your pants.
pretty sure he told me a story about it.
All right, so next is dirty dealings.
Dun dun dun.
Getting out of Brianna's pants.
Out of her pants, onto dirty dealings.
Yeah. On the banks of the Illinois River was an area inhabited by Native Americans for close to 12,000 years. Settled by French missionaries nearly 4 centuries ago and developed into a bustling downtown by citizens who lived and died on its streets. One of the several alleged paranormal hotspots covered on the tour, the Associated Bank branch at 240 Southwest Jefferson, was the site of a notorious murder during its time as the former State Trust and Savings Bank. On December 23, 1917, bank president Edgar Strauss shot and killed cashier Bernie Meade in what he claimed to be self-defense. However, as the men had been involved in an ongoing feud, many believed the death was premeditated. The case initially resulted in a murder conviction, but after an appeal was filed, subsequent trials produced 2 hung juries. In the end, Strauss walked away a free man. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
2 hung juries? That doesn't happen often.
Mm-hmm.
Some local residents, like Janet Ozuna and her stepdaughter Teresa Ozuna, believe the injustice done to Meade has trapped a spirit, and perhaps the state of Strauss. Perhaps that of Strauss, sorry. In this building on the corner of Jefferson and Liberty, both longtime employees of Mid-State College, Janet and Teresa, claim to have had several bizarre experiences while the school operated out of the location. As Teresa often worked alone in the evenings with only the night shift guard in the building, she claims to have regularly heard footsteps behind her when no one was there, doors slamming by themselves, receiving phone calls from the basement after it had been locked for the night, and once being touched by something she couldn't see. Do you think that could have been like her husband's dick?
Could have.
I mean,
you never know.
Never know.
She couldn't see it.
Right. Now we know how Brie feels at night. Teresa stated, "I felt as clear as day a hand touch my arm, kind of like someone about to say, 'Excuse me.' That's what I thought it was. I was even saying, 'Oh, I'm sorry.' And I turned and looked, and there was absolutely no one there." Janet, whose office was the sole access point to a trapdoor leading down to the original bank vault, says one incident in particular converted her into a believer. "I went in on a Sunday morning, and of course no one else was in there," she remembers. I know there's noises when buildings settle and that type of thing. We were used to that. But literally, I could have sworn I heard somebody coming up those stairs under the trapdoor, just a thump, 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 like heavy shoes coming up those stairs. The hair on the back of my neck stood up. I got goosebumps all over me. I literally grabbed my purse and ran, she describes. I know what fright is now. I don't think a lot of people know what a really frightening experience is until you're there. I had a whole different sense of being alone in that building after that. That's weird. Can you imagine just a trapdoor and just hear...
I don't like trapdoors in general. They give me the jeebies.
Why?
Well, like when we were at Gammon House and that trapdoor, and I don't know, just what if somebody's under there? And not even the spirits. I'm afraid of like creepy real people hiding under
creepy real people.
I don't know. It's just weird.
Okay. Like, do you think that they're going to like just jump out and grab you and drag you down?
Or just maybe the spying on you kind of part?
Okay.
I don't know.
Like upskirt crotch shots?
Maybe.
Is that why you don't wear skirts?
Yeah.
That's why I do wear skirts. I don't want...
Ew.
A spectral sentencer and his restless residence. That is a tongue twister.
I did that on purpose for you.
Thanks. A few miles from the bank, a similar eerie vibe emanates from 2 historic Peoria homes. Among the many distinguished residences sitting atop the city's east bluff is the Judge John C. Flanagan House, the oldest standing house in Peoria at 942 Northeast Glen Oak Avenue. Maintained by the Peoria Historical Society, the American Federalist-style home has been converted into a museum and houses a collection of local antiques, as well as the reputed ghosts of its former tenants. Among the odd events reported in the 176-year-old structure are an apparition of a woman reading in the library and that of a man, presumably Judge Flanagan, walking the grounds wearing his signature overcoat and silk hat. According to Karen Karras, former Flanagan House Chair volunteer, often find objects have been moved around when no one has been in the building. Once she even found one of the museum's prized artifacts, a more than a century-old shirt collar, carelessly strewn on the master bedroom floor. It really spooked me, and it actually gives me goosebumps right now, she says. There were only a few people that had the keys to that house. None of them would have ever taken that out and thrown it in the middle of the floor. Does it bother you when your husbands just leave clothes laying on the floor?
It's the opposite. I'm the one that leaves clothes on the floor.
Yeah, JT doesn't.
You do?
I leave clothes on the ottoman in the closet, but I don't throw them on the floor.
Okay. I'm just curious.
Do you get in trouble for leaving clothes on the floor?
Oh, yeah. 100%. I'm a slob. And yeah, but it's only on my side of the bed. So it's not,
so it's like
yeah, so
shoulders deep on your side of the bed.
Yes. And then also the hampers are on my side as well. So like all her clothes are over there in the hamper and my clothes are on the outside.
So there's like an obstacle course leading to your side of the bed.
Yeah, and that's fine. You know, I don't disturb her side.
Well, if you think about it, someone who's trying to get you while you're sleeping, they have to really get there, where Missy, they're just going to go straight to Missy.
I know what I'm doing. All right? So you're going to wake me up before you get to me.
I don't know. Aren't you like a deep sleeper?
No, I used to be.
Yeah.
Not anymore. I don't sleep very well anymore. I would probably say for a good 10 years, I have not slept well. Like, I don't remember what it's like to wake up refreshed. That's how long it's been. And I've had sleep studies done. I do not have sleep apnea. So it's a mystery.
Do you
a dildo in my butt? Yes.
That's going to keep you from sleeping.
I say that could be the problem.
Actually, that
can't
relaxes
roll over.
me.
It's like a kickstand.
That relaxes me.
It's like a kickstand. What do you roll over?
Like, it's not sticking out. I mean,
the whole thing's in there?
Oh, is there any other way?
We have like a wire to like fish it back out?
Yeah, how do you get it back out if it's all the way in there?
Yeah.
Is it like a tampon where there's like a rope at the end and you just pull it out?
Or it's just permanently in there and that's why you can't sleep.
It's soap and a rope. It just I can't do the noise. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. All right. So located at 1212 West Moss Avenue in Peoria's High Wine District, the Pet and Grill Marin House is yet another converted home museum. Allegedly haunted by its former owners. Built in 1868, the house is also maintained by the Peoria Historical Society. It remains almost exactly as its last owner, Jean Marn, left it before her death in 1966. Volunteers say Miss Marn's odds and ends are frequently discovered out of their normal places. Tour guides have gone upstairs to find a water faucet running on its own and report seeing the reflection of a shadowy figure in the mirror. Neighbors claim to have seen figures walking around the attic while no one was inside, as well as being awoken by the sounds of a cocktail party next door, only to find no such soiree. If a spirit is responsible for these odd occurrences, the Pettingill Marn House chair, Kathy Dollinger, feels confident it means no harm. Any ghosts we have are friendly ghosts, she asserts. We feel we have a good rapport with them and they're helping us tell the story. We're on good terms with our ghosts because we're taking care of the home. All right.
I just want to point out that you laughed at cocktail.
I know.
Like a child.
100%. Because I love the word cocktail. Because my joke is I feel like a cocktail. Hold the tail.
It's like me and my mimosa story.
Exactly.
It's only funny to the storyteller.
Yeah, I would like a cocktail minus the tail, please. A ghostly encounter.
Encore.
I'm sorry. I can't read. A ghostly encore.
Buffet.
Buffet. Get me my silk robe. and cigar brandy? No.
No.
away, sir.
Okay. The Peoria Players Theater is said to be haunted by the ghost of Norman Endine, a former actor and director at the theater who died at the young age of 34. The stories say he lingers backstage in the women's dressing room, often flushing toilets.
Is this you? Not
This is you.
This has to be
This
you.
is future past you, and that's why I wanted to make sure we put this in here.
I am the reincarnated spirit of Norman Endine.
Yes, you are.
That is awesome.
Looking for your moaning Myrtle.
John B. Kachuba's book, Ghost Hunting Illinois, tells the tale of a haunted Meyer Jacobs Theater at Bradley University. Students and faculty alike say that the Lady in Brown has been seen in numerous occasions throughout the years, especially in the dark tunnel under the stage that runs to the orchestra pit. The Lady in Brown is said to be a student who drowned in the pool decades ago when the building was a gymnasium called Hewitt Hall. A second presence is also rumored to be present in the Meyer Jacobs Theater. Something or someone that messes with the electricity, causing stage lights and sound equipment to go haywire. Jim Langley, a former associate professor in the theater department, has said footprints appeared in the middle of a freshly painted set one night when he was alone in the building. From the shape of the prints as well as the location, Langley said he didn't see how they could have been from anyone other than a ghost.
Oh.
I would like to go back to Norman Endine here. Now, I could understand him being in the women's dressing room. Get it. Why flushing toilets?
Because he had to take a shit. That's why
What
it's you.
would you do if you were a ghost? You don't think you would go around flushing toilets just for the shits and giggles, no pun intended?
I would be feeling those girls up if I was a ghost.
And then when they were at school and away from the
Yeah, if the
stage,
girls
you
weren't
gotta
there.
keep yourself busy. Flushing toilets.
Do you think that's how ectoplasm is made? It's just like ghost shits?
Quite possibly.
Like he had Mexican the night before, and it's just like a slimy
Possibly.
ectoplasmic shit.
Yeah.
All right. Hey,
Possibly.
T-shirt, ectoplasmic shits.
What if he used the toilets? Because what if it is connected to the lady in, right? She was the one
lady in brown?
with the drowned in a swimming pool.
So
What if that's how you transport
So-
through the sewer system?
Or what if he was taking shit, flushing, and the flushing
I know where you're going with this.
ended on the Lady in Brown, and that's why she's called the Lady in Brown. Very much a la Dave Matthews Band's tour bus 20 years ago, dumping shit in the river and actually hitting people on the passing boat.
Are they called the Lady in Brown?
Which the anniversary of that just happened last week.
Aww.
Just synchronicity happening. Synchronicity.
Synchronicity. Yeah.
Shitsity. Dave, please contact me. I'd love to do that duet with you.
Oh, Lordy.
Baby, come back.
I don't think you're ever going to hear from him.
No.
Yeah, no.
No, but I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to try.
Yeah.
So, well, that was our episode.
That was an interesting ride.
That was
From mental health to murder to
shit.
drowning to shit swimming.
drowning in shit.
Yeah, drowning in shit.
Yeah. Well, we should get back into contact with Sylvia and try to make some time, maybe next month, to kind of meet up with her and have her tell us all the stories. I mean, she is a plethora of knowledge when it comes to that, and and that's awesome. So superlatives, hyperboles. So, you guys got anything else to close out this episode?
No.
Any last words?
Let's go to Peoria.
Virtual. I can't do it.
She still can't
I'm
do
trying. It's not coming out.
You know
correctly.
what? You know what? When we use our spirit boxes and we're like, what did that ghost say? I don't understand what they say. Like, maybe that's future Bree, like, saying words, but
could
they're
be.
just coming through as, what was the furry one that you said? Or
For chili?
for chili?
Virtually.
Did that go say
Did I
for
say it
chili?
right there?
You're pretty close.
Oh, damn it.
But maybe.
I was so nonchalant.
Stop.
was so
I'm
nonchalant.
trying.
All right, we'll work on our pronunciation for next week.
Okay. Well, guys, we love you. German guy, Russian guy, or gal, please.
It's like, how do you know? Yeah.
I mean,
Person.
German.
Robot. What if it's an AI?
Or anyone else that listens to us internationally.
Yeah, go ahead.
Come
Reach
say
out.
hi.
Yeah. Hold us. Anyway, that's all we got. We love you.
We thank you.
And
Catch you on the flippity flop.
again, this was Fringe.
Beyond
Limits.